Martial, born in Hispania, wrote satirical epigrams during the reign of Domitian, his patron, Nerva, and Trajan. He lived for 62 years. Most of our knowledge of Martial's life comes from his epigrams themselves. He did not have any special education per se, but he was educated. He moved to Rome in AD 64, but due to his overwhelming social duties, he moved back to Hispania to continue in his leisure activities of his childhood. Martial increased the accessibility of the book by making his books physically accessible as well as mentally accessible. He published his books, an uncommon practice at the time. In addition, he wrote about topics that everyone could relate to. Regardless of whether you were in the city or the countryside, you could relate to Martial's epigrams. Here are some examples of Martial's work. As demonstrated by the epigrams you have seen, Martial was not known for shying away from the harsh or even inappropriate. Instead, Martial embraced the dirty joke or cruel punchline and was so known for it that he was even said to change the meaning of the epigram to a short poem with a stinger at the end. Both Thomas Bastard and Sir John Harrington were fans of Martial's work and were known to do anything from praising Martial as an author to mocking his style of writing. Not everyone was a fan of Martial. In the early Romantic era, schools and the elite upper class often rejected Martial due to his crude subject matter. Martial was a fan and pioneer of the juxtaposition. As you can see in the picture, the juxtaposition is the placing of two unusual and contrasting things next to each other in order to point out the contrast. This picture features a black and white photograph of a bomb and a bright and colorful photograph of a tree. One symbolizes life and the other symbolizes death. The strategic placement of these images shows how opposite they are. To summarize, Martial spread the book through both a physical and mental expansion of it. In addition, he showed that there were more topics to be discussed in books, other than those considered right or proper at the time. In modern day, Martial is seen in the use of the juxtaposition and in the practice of social commentary.